Welcome to Mentoring Moments. Mentoring Moments is a sub-series of the E-commerce Edge podcast. It is composed of clips taken from Jason's one-to-one and group mentorship sessions. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the pod. It is my pleasure to welcome Mr. Joshua Kennedy to the podcast, and he's the founder of Imagine Marketing, and he's a specialist affiliate marketing consultant. So welcome to the podcast, Josh.
Yeah, thank you, Jason. Pleasure to be on here today.
It's awesome to have you along for the ride today. Frankly, we just haven't had a lot of dedicated affiliate marketing focused episodes. And the one that we've done most recently goes back 2 years ago. Dustin Howes, we had a full episode dedicated to this affiliate marketing program from zero to hero. But as I said, that was 2 years ago. Lots of stuff changes in our industry in a very short period of time. So I'm looking forward to digging deep into the state of the nation or the state of the industry when it comes to affiliate marketing. But before we get into what it is you do, how you do it, where you've coined this term affiliate marketing 2.0, and there's obviously been some changes, some evolutions of the industry. But how did you get into this space to begin with, man?
That's a good question. I initially got in, I was actually a content marketer by trade back in the day and used to work for like local newspaper and things like that, doing some writing some blogs, covering local news stories, things like that. So got into the e-com game through content marketing, and I worked for basically a company that had some different CPG brands as a content marketer. And I saw an opportunity based on just some kind of competitor research and kind of a little bit of just watching around and see what the industry was doing. And I saw affiliate programs were a thing. And I guess I don't know why I was drawn to that. Of all things, I could have chosen paid search or just done SEO or something else. But for whatever reason, latched onto the affiliate program. And back then, so launched it in house for one of the brands. It essentially became a program housing three different like brands or different websites and within one impact radius platform. Basically, we started on a WordPress plugin, grew it to about 400,000 a month or 450,000 a month. So it's pretty successful and probably 30 to 40% of the monthly revenue for the business, e-com revenue. And I just took it from there. And I think even today, if you go back in the Impact network, I saw this later, we're actually the fourth brand in the health and wellness. Like of all of the health and wellness brands on Impact, one of the largest affiliate networks out there. So it's kind of the backstory, and then just kept chugging along since then.
Yeah, and look, there are an almost infinite number of affiliate marketing platforms out there,
Yeah.
and then more tangentially influencer platforms out there. Impact just being one of those. If you search affiliate marketing in the Shopify App Store, I think there's well over 100 listings that come up for affiliate marketing platforms or plugins or apps that can help you manage that type of marketing within your business. But for those that maybe aren't as steeped in the industry as you are and don't live and breathe this every day, haven't necessarily leveraged affiliates before to help grow their business, maybe explain to me in the most basic, explain it to a 5-year-old kind of model. What is affiliate marketing and what really differentiates it from, say, influencer marketing?
Yeah, so I think affiliate marketing is really based on the payment term or the payment mechanism, right? So basically, affiliate marketing is a pay for performance or a pay for outcome channel. So really, they call it pay per action, right? Because if you're a SaaS platform, that might be a subscriber. If you're a lead gen service, that might be someone filling out a form. If you're a direct consumer brand, that could be even something like finishing a quiz, or most commonly, right, is becoming a customer of the brand. So basically, anytime you reach that checkout page and there is an affiliate click, pretty much, or view sometimes, but basically primarily a click and kind of that customer journey, then that affiliate is credited. So I think that's a bigger discussion, and I'd be interested in getting into that. But really, I think where the expertise comes in is understanding just the whole Rolodex of relationships that exist out there. So all the different partnerships, but then also too is if you have a million different partnerships at your disposal, then how do you choose and select the right partners, both for kind of relevancy to your brand and your product offering, but then also too for efficiency and growth. So that's where the expert kind of side of it comes in.
And my limited, and as I said before, I'm not the affiliate marketing guru. That's not my area of expertise. The first time I was ever exposed, I think that I was ever exposed to affiliate marketing at scale was when I was running e-commerce for New Zealand's largest online retailer of natural health products, HealthPost. And I was basically the director of e-commerce. And The reality is we had a full-blown internal marketing team. So we had a paid and performance team, we had a marketing director, plus we had a full-blown affiliate marketing manager. That was their day job.
Mhm.
Literally day in, day out, they managed all of our affiliate partner relationships. And they did that primarily through two platforms. It was Rakuten affiliate marketing and then Commission Factory affiliate marketing. And that gave us access effectively to a whole range of publishers on the internet, mostly blogs, not exclusively blogs, but certainly publishers of content. It could be an online magazine, it could be an online digital publication, it could be a video marketer on YouTube, it was a whole range of publishers. And those publishers, when I think of, we didn't call them this back in the day, but what I would call them today is an affiliate marketplace. That's what I'd call it, because you're introducing a publisher of content on the internet to somebody that wants to effectively buy some sort of marketing placement on their publication. And so you're introducing those platforms, those middleware platforms that provided a whole lot more than just the introduction between the publisher and the brand, but then they managed things like the affiliate marketing links. They tracked the last click attribution. They did deduping. There was a whole lot of functionality that came along with working with one of these affiliate marketing platforms to be introduced to these publishers that we could connect with, and vice versa. The publisher could go onto that platform. They could say, oh, I'm interested in natural health. I'm a gym bunny or whatever it is. I'm interested in supplements. I'm interested in whatever it is. I publish a blog on fitness or whatever it is. Cool. Now I can effectively put an affiliate marketing link or an ad in that article that I'm writing and reference a product. Then if somebody clicks on that while they're consuming my content and they go through and they complete a purchase on Health Post, then I get a cut. I effectively get a commission for helping to drive that traffic that eventuates in a sale. So that was my very first exposure to this concept of affiliate marketing and like kind of the formal process of how publishers and brands get introduced to each other, how they even discover each other, how they find out about each other. Is that is that the common way that affiliate marketing still works today? Because this is a long time ago. This is a
Yeah.
long, long time ago. So when you talk about affiliate marketing 2.0, how have things evolved from the Rakuten commission factory type model to the model of today?
Yeah, that's a huge question, right? There's so much there. So I think the first thing is that probably from the outside looking in, and for probably still a lot of people within the industry, they probably do see it like that, the way that you just described it, where it's I'm a publisher, blogger, or I have some form of content and I'm trying to get some recurring commissions out of this or just monetize over the add other levers of monetization or ways to monetize this, then put an affiliate link on there. So example would be I'm a YouTuber, a blogger, I write something about a particular topic, I put my affiliate links in there, then I get it. So that's one form that's like more of the traditional, I would say, old school 2003 to 2013 kind of affiliate marketing, right? And it's so much more expansive than that now. But again, the price for expansiveness is just sometimes getting lost with all the different types of partnerships. So I'll give you some examples, right? So some of the things that we do, some of our favorite types of affiliates now are, and this is not necessarily brand new, but are people like with review sites in the Amazon space they basically will purchase ad inventory. So if you mentioned like what was one of the products that you sold at the New Zealand brand, supplement product?
It might have been. It might have been. I'm trying to think of some of the famous brands, some of the local New Zealand brands that we carried. Better Health is I think they're a New Zealand-based brand of Better Health, and they sell probiotics.
Okay, so like probiotics is a big category, right? In supplements and affiliate marketing. Example would be either in the Amazon space, or it could be really be anywhere, Amazon, Walmart, or D2C. But like basically those specific types of media buyers and publishers are media buyers, right? So they build the top 5, top 10 pieces of content. They go describe your product. They compare it. There's different formats of the pages, how they'll do it. Some are more long form editorial. Some are just 5 pick product images, a button, CTA, and a little bit of text. So there's different ways to do it. And then they'll go into actually Google Ads and they'll set up media buying campaigns, right? So anytime you're comparing any probiotic, so what is the best probiotic? You're searching into Google or Bing, right? Or best probiotics, any type of comparison researching like intent from the customer, those review sites will appear at the top of Google or Bing, right? So these are some of the most valuable affiliates, especially for a lot of product direct consumer. So that's a specific type of affiliate partner that does very well. They're more like a blend between traditional content and media buyer, but you can take that to different levels, right? For instance, you can also something newer is like whitelisting. So whitelisting, right, is when publishers or influencers will allow you access to run ads through their handle. So that's something that we're able to do now. So we have one of our clients is called Wellco. So they're an international greens powder, protein powder. They've got tons of supplement products, but we whitelist several publisher accounts with them, meaning those publishers, they will basically grant access to their social handle. So now Wellco can run ads under the, and it appears like it's coming from an independent third party, but it's really hosted, and the data is basically backed into the Facebook ads manager of the brand, right? So what we see in these types of campaigns is that actually like the click-through rate from these types of campaigns is like 4 times higher than the internal brand ads that Wellco or another brand would run, just because basically people, anytime you're scrolling through a feed, right, doesn't matter where it is on your phone, and you see a brand ad, you're much likelier to skip over it than if it was from an independent third party, right? So if it was a particular product you're interested in, or you've got running shoes coming up or whatever, and like a Men's Health article or something was, we looked at the best running shoes for 2026 or plantar fasciitis or any of these things, and they made a recommendation that could actually be run from one of the top brands like on that article, but it looks like it's coming from Men's Health or Men's Fitness or whatever, facilitating those relationships. And just overall, I think the direction that we are going in, and I think the industry is going into, is like finding a way to blend that third party and that first party relationship. So it's like, how can you take that concept and then expand that, right? So whereas before, affiliate was more siloed from like a first party and third party perspective, where you got your brand over here, there's a fixed article on here with 5 different placements, and it's okay, how do I get into spot 1, 2, 3, or 4, or 5? Now I think it's a much more, like I said, it's a much more blended kind of relationship where there's discussions around, okay, can we license this content in some way? Can we run ads and push traffic through that handle? Can we plan other pieces of content that are offshooting from this? So I think that's where kind of the industry is headed. And those are only some very small examples, but that can showcases the differences in the types of campaigns that are going on and how these relationships are developing.
And are there, I mean, from my perspective, I feel like one of those hybrid models is the ad co-spend model, right?
Yeah.
So I know for a fact that, for example, Better Health would work with HealthPost, and they'd say, hey, look, we're going to subsidize all the ads that you run, all the paid and performance marketing that you do for our products. We're going to have a 50-50 co-spend on this. You show us at the end of the month, you show us your ad account, you run a report, you show us the spend, and then we're effectively going to rebate. We're going to give you a credit on your wholesale account with us to the value of 50% of that ad spend that's going to drive traffic to our products on your website. So that feels like an affiliate marketing model, but it's a 1P affiliate marketing model in the sense that it's endemic. It's an endemic brand. So it's actually an active brand on that e-commerce website. But instead of just promoting, say, for example, an ad placement on the website itself, or a promoted ad or a promoted product or a promoted category on the ad itself, or a category banner or something like that, which we also had ad packages for the major brands that we sold that they could buy placements on the website as well. But there was also packages where they co-spent, and either we would tell them, look, you're going to be part of our regular advertising model anyway. There's going to be a certain amount of advertising we're going to do for all the brands that we do over time, especially our top, say, 20% of our brands. We're always going to do some form of marketing around those anyway to drive demand. But if you want to accelerate that, or you want to double down on that, and you want us to run 10x or 20x or 30x the advertising that we would normally run for your brand, then that's where co-spend starts to become the arbiter of, and it becomes almost like a bid scenario, right? So we would say, look, kind of the subsidization starts at that 50% mark. But if we got 10 probiotic brands that want to sponsor advertising, we only have a certain amount of ad space that we can really control for demand when it comes down to the limited demand for those search terms. What are you willing to offer and come to the table in terms of a co-spend? Is it 60%? Is it 65%? Is it 70%? And so we would get into a competitive bidding scenario on occasion for really competitive product categories where more than one brand would want to be involved in a co-spend scenario. So do you consider that type of a model affiliate marketing, or is that more like a true partnered vendor supplier co-spend model?
Yeah, so I think so I'm not 100% sure. I'd probably, if I saw it laid out, I think I'd be able to grasp it a little bit more. I didn't quite understand it just as you explained it. But
Yeah.
as far as co-spending and basically funding affiliates and things like that, so I think like we offer that for some of our clients and for some of our publisher and affiliate relationships. So this is all like retail e-commerce. There's not like any wholesalers or anything like that that we're working with. So it's all just direct consumer and with that third party affiliate. But so for instance, like there's any form of media, basically you can pretty much guarantee that there's an affiliate that's buying that media and then trying to sell that back to a brand for more than it cost him to refer that
Drive the
customer,
traffic to
essentially.
pay you,
So
right?
basically like media arbitrage is like a type of is media arbitrage is a type of tactic that's huge in affiliate marketing. So again, whether you're doing that off of Google ads or you're doing that off of meta traffic or you're doing that off of, you name it, like Newsbreak, AppLovin, TikTok, throw it out there, it's being done. So a lot of times, especially for untested traffic sources, we will try to facilitate some sort of brand spend or some sort of co-investment to try to understand, okay, what are the actual acquisition costs that are coming through this particular campaign? So if it's specific creative that we provide them, if it's a specific landing page that we provide them, if it's an advertorial, like whatever that flow looks like, helping to basically de-risk it for the affiliate. And then from an affiliate perspective, basically what you're saying is, and I think especially on the media side of things, because you still do have your organic affiliate on this side, from the media spend side, it's like your affiliates are not really even, their value isn't necessarily only the traffic that they bring, but basically the skills that they bring to the table. So they're now more like performance marketers, creative strategists, like all these other, like I said, skill sets that you're not, like the traditional form of affiliate marketing really wasn't thinking of affiliates in this way. They were just thinking of, hey, you have a content blog or whatever. They're not thinking about, hey, you're a creative strategist that can help multiply our creative output. You can help. So I think that's, yeah, just the direction. Again, of course, like for our brands, I'm doing this right now with some of our brands, is that we're approaching affiliates on Newsbreak, we're approaching affiliates on AppLovin, we're approaching wherever and saying, hey, we have X amount of dollars to help facilitate the spend. And then once we figure that acquisition cost, we're going to pay you a margin on top of that, and we to run it off your own spend. So I see that as a pretty attractive. It's a tool that we've used to, like I said, incentivize. And then the last thing I'll say on that is, I think I think in general, there's a lot more room to play or to learn, experiment with paid media and affiliate marketing, because whitelisting on Meta is basically where most of that kind of like hybrid whitelisting type of model has occurred, where it's okay, I'll run it under your account, or whether you're an influencer or a publisher or whatever. But TikTok also has Spark ads where you can do whitelisting type style of campaigns. You could do co-branded things where it's like if you're buying native traffic or whatever. I guess the concept, what I'm getting at is, I think there's a lot of, yeah, I think it's underexplored as far as like a paid media, because in general, it's more beneficial to get someone to speak like positively about you from a third party independent perspective than it is to try to basically just keep patting your own back from a first party ad spend perspective. So I think as we continue to build these relationships and test campaigns, that's one thing that I'm really interested in, is how do those two intertwine and then create greater efficiency for brands from a paid ads perspective.
And have you seen any e-commerce brands that have made a wholesale switch from, okay, we're going to run our own ad account, we're going to be running ads under our own brand, we're going to be running direct linkage from those paid and
Mhm.
performance ads directly to either a category landing page or a PDP or a campaign landing page, something like that? Have you worked with any brands that have decided to make that wholesale change to say, look, we're going to spend the same amount of money on paid and performance marketing, regardless of whether we run it under our account or we run it under an affiliate's account, but we're going to wholesale send out effectively that budget, and we're going to work with some affiliate marketers instead. And sure, maybe we have to pay 2%, 5%, 10%, whatever it is,
Mhm.
more for the arbitrage aspect to make sure that the affiliate gets paid. But we feel like that is going to lead to at least a 2, 5, or 10% increase in performance of the paid spend that we do make. So
Mhm.
as a result, that's still worthwhile, because the trade-off is, sure, we have to pay a slightly higher price for the arbitrage side of things, but the value to us is so much higher that it's worth paying that premium for effectively spending that money through an affiliate instead of directly on our own ad account.
Yeah, so I wish that we had I owned brands or like our clients were doing this, and they are working with paid media affiliates. They are, but they're not to that extent. But there is a good example of that. And I think one of them is, I think when you look at major nutrition or supplement brands, which is a lot of bread and butter for us, is specifically Onnit and Athletic Greens. And I think Goalie, and there's a few that are in that category
I
where
think Fuel even is
Fuel,
probably
yeah,
falls into
like
that
where they
category.
they might have even originated more as like from, they might have like from an affiliate model and then became a brand. So initially starting off as like an arbitrage play or whatever, and then actually becoming the brand that they are, and then trying to build up all that kind of that side of things. But On It is probably the best example of, I think I've heard from them. So I don't know how many hundred, they're a 9-figure business, I'm sure. I don't know what exactly the numbers, but then they were acquired by Unilever, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 years ago, something like that. And I believe at the time of acquisition, 50% of their total acquisition for e-commerce, D2C, was through affiliate media buyers. So that they basically, that was probably a factor of 5 times more than their internal spend or whatever. So that was their model. So I think that can be very successful for specific brands, probably high margin brands, high lifetime value brands or whatever. Even in the SaaS space, that could be really for that kind of rapid growth kind of cycle. I think that's probably something like, because I've been more D2C, but like sometimes you run into like sometimes scaling programs or like inventory there's all that like physical product things. But if someone could really nail like an Athletic Greens or an On It affiliate media buying for some sort of SaaS platforms, because I know it's all for the SaaS, it's all about the speed of launch and all that kind of stuff. So I think that'd be an interesting model for those types of companies to test out. But the answer is 100% yes. That's been done and proven and even acquired. And then also too, I definitely think, because those, like I said, they bring in these additional skill sets. They might even be better than your internal team or your agency or whoever you're outsourcing your ads to. And then again, it's about that multiplication or amplification of the creative and the learning, right? So you're going to learn faster. You're going to get more creative variations, like all those kinds of things, which now we know that those things are so important to the success of your paid ads campaigns, because creative is now like the fuel that keeps those things going 100%.
Yeah, and look, I saw someone, I think it was on LinkedIn the other day. They were asking about how do these brands do it? How do they come up with the volume of creative that they're coming up with? And it's in many cases they're not doing that 100% in-house, and neither are they doing that 100% with maybe an agency partner. They're using, the affiliates are producing their own creative, and then they have an agreement that creative gets shared back with the brand so that the brand can use it in its own internal marketing as well. I totally agree with you. It seems like that the creative variety and volume required today to win in the market is such that it's very difficult for an internal brand creative team to create at the volume and scale required today, especially across all the different channels that are available. As you said, you got AppLovin, you got TikTok, you got Instagram, you got Facebook, you've got Amazon, you've got a ton of different channels today, along with your own D2C play website as well. And so I think it's really difficult for brands today, even if it's a priority for them, even if they've got a full-blown in-house creative team, a little mini studio in-house, etc. And I know we had a small studio in-house at HealthPost. It's still difficult, even with all that resourcing going on. It's still difficult because you've still got the same team, right? And so the creative capacity of the team, unless you just continue to throw additional bodies at this, and even with the assistance of AI, and even with the variations being able to be created by AI with AI avatars, etc., it's still just very difficult to have a sufficient volume of creative ideas at scale all the time for always on campaigns without, I think, the help of especially regional affiliates. Like, for example, if I was going to go into a brand new market that didn't speak my language, for example, let's say, I don't know, let's say I was an American headquartered brand, but I was going to hit Mexico hard, or I was going to hit French speaking Canada and Quebec hard. It would be very difficult. Sure, I could use translation services and all that sort of stuff, but it would still be hard for me to create creative that was in the vibe of that local market. And so it feels, especially in those scenarios, you have to work with affiliates. There's no other way to do it.
Yeah, I agree. Especially, yeah, absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree on that.
Yeah, and how much do you think that, because what we did is at least at HealthPost, when we work affiliates, sometimes we would actually provide creative, or at least we would provide creative elements or components or brand guidelines or something like that to them. How much of this is strictly brand controlled versus, okay, affiliate, you've got free reign, go hell for leather. As long as maybe our only requirements are don't swear and no nudity. Maybe that's our only restrictions on this is no nudity, nothing illegal, and no swearing. But other than that, go hell for leather. You can do whatever you want. How much control do brands usually exert over these creatives? Or is it pretty much let them do their thing because that's why they're where they are?
Yeah, I think it's probably it just depends on the brand, right? So what I will say is, since the brand, some obviously are more, I guess, restrictive about their creatives than others. And then the other thing too is I think it's more important to vet on the affiliate side. So generally the incentives are aligned where it's like the affiliate wants to have the longer term relationship because they want the long term commission, right? The brand wants the long term relationship because they want to have the long term sales. So because of that, it's like it's not too much of a sticking point, I feel like. But I think the important thing is just really, especially when you're going into media channels, is that you just need to vet your affiliates. And then you also need to, I guess, like I said, kind of, yeah, really try to request transparency when you can. So just don't ask oh, you're going to run that? Okay, set it and forget it kind of thing. Okay, can I see the creative that you're running if there's any variations? And a lot of time too, some of these like these creative strategists, media buyers, they are basically sourcing their own UGC as well. So like they will often submit that to the brand for approval before trying to get the campaigns live. So I don't think that's too much of an issue, really. I think the more pressing thing, or the more pressing thing is just whether like the unit economics are going to work in that relationship, whether there's enough of an incentive for like the margin in profit that the affiliate is. Because if I'm an affiliate, right, and I got to go out and either edit our own content, source our own content, edit our content, set up these campaigns, like all that kind of that time investment, right? Is like, I'm going to want to make sure that I'm going to make my money back on that, because again, they're fronting the risk on that. They're ultimately investing their own dollars towards your brand. They know they don't have any other affiliation with you or your brand or whoever outside of that, other than trying to make a return. So from their perspective, it's okay. Is the EPC going to be high enough, or is this going to convert well enough? And when maybe brands or companies are evaluating again, what value do affiliates bring to us? Another thing is that they're probably better performance marketers in the sense of they know what works from like funnel perspectives, right? They're going to have some of these funnels. I mentioned that brand on it, and it's not my funnel, it's not my client, so it's like I someone else is reaping the praise here, but they had that running for 5 or 6 years to the same advertorial page. So some of these, I think some of the best affiliate marketing, and we have this with our clients now, is that they'll have specific funnels, whether they're on the Google search side or whether they're on the Meta side or wherever, that these will run for multiple years at a time. So they just become these long-standing, basically like acquisition funnels into your business, right? Where compare that again, I think like that idea versus, oh, I'm just going to recruit a blogger. There's a huge difference between the level of strategy and the level of scale and just the level of opportunity when with some of these more modern types of relationships with affiliates. So that's where someone like us, me, or like some of these the better operators in the space, they can bring that level of expertise. And it's not running an affiliate program like 10 years ago. It's, like I said, meaningful, really meaningful for your acquisition.
And what technology today is the norm in because there's affiliate marketing marketplaces
Mm.
that feels kind of like how they operate. Then there are technologies that you run in-house like the Impacts of the world. There are plugins, there are add-ons, there are affiliate marketing, campaign code management platforms. There's almost as much technology in this world as there is in any other area of e-commerce that you can either use internally or subscribe to help you manage these relationships and manage who gets credit for a specific click through if you're working with multiple affiliates, etc. So when you go into these brands that maybe either are not running affiliate marketing models at all today, or they've tried it, they weren't able to make it work for them, they weren't able to maybe make it viable or profitable for them, and that maybe came down to strategy, that may have come down to affiliate selection, that may have come down to technology costs eating into the profitability of those campaigns, etc. So when you first go in and you start engaging with a brand, what does the audit process look like before you can ever start engaging with affiliates and starting to create those relationships and start to get the creative in market, start to test, start to see ROI, start to understand ROAS and MER, etc.? What is the foundational things that you believe really have to happen right at the start to get off on the right foot to make sure that you have the best chance of success with affiliate marketing?
Yeah, so there's definitely a lot of it's multi-layered, right? So the first thing is you got to know your website or your funnel or whatever you're driving traffic to has to convert, right? And that's going to so if you can push relevant traffic to it or relevant traffic and it doesn't turn into any customers, then it's not going to be successful. That's why
And
a
that's
lot of
not the affiliate's fault, right?
that's
Because
not their
they're
fault. Yeah.
responsible for just getting them landed on your site.
Exactly. They're pushing the traffic to the page by whatever means. And then from there, it's your website. And definitely the clients that we have, the brands that's the best tend to be the multiple 8-figure, 9-figure brands because they've got this kind of stuff figured out. They've got the best conversion experience. The traffic converts the best. They're able to pay the affiliates that they're able to incentivize them more than the other brands. So it all just is a good formula on that side. But in terms of for kind of any brand, what you're going to do from an audit process, number one is that you're going to want to make sure you want to eliminate the waste in it. And so if you're a lot of times, like we even will, some huge brands like that you would recognize, like global brands, like we've been in the back of their affiliate programs and audited it, and they're spending way too much on cannibalized kind of traffic. So that's first. Is most I'm personally not a believer in any coupon partner, any sub network partner, pretty much, or any loyalty partner. Like Ebates, Capital One, you retail me not. It doesn't matter how big and how entrenched they are in the affiliate marketing space. I don't believe they provide incremental value. So that's the first thing that we would do. I would typically do is, okay, look for any obvious waste. You can also monitor for fraud. So there's different fraud tools out there that you can look for to see. But a lot of times it's pretty simple to go through in there, like I said, and just get those cannibalized partnerships out of there. So that's the first thing you do. And then from there, we call it a mid-funnel gap analysis. It sounds elevated, but really all it is, we have partners in Reddit, we have partners on Google, the publishers, YouTube, etc. So basically any type of that 5% of end market buyers that are looking for your products or solutions right now, try to figure out where those people are landing, which are specific YouTube videos, specific Reddit forums, specific articles, right? Whatever it is. So that's where you want to be present first. So map that all out, do all your keyword research. It could be 20 different URLs, or it could be 500 different URLs that has search traffic for your brand, your products. So that's the first place to start, because once you're visible there, you don't have to do any more work to then have those consumers come in, because your market is the size of your market, right? So once you have that visibility, the consumers do the work for you. They come, they click, they purchase, right? So that's pretty simple. And then from there, it's really about, once you're going to expand, right? So if we get to that growth phase, which is more on the demand generation side, it really comes down to the fact of, can you intake or work with media buyers, right? What are the CPAs that you're willing to pay? What are basically the actual digital assets that you need in the form of creatives, in the form of landing pages, in the form of advertorial pages, things like that you don't currently have. If you were I'm actually just got an email 10 minutes ago about a request for an advertorial page from one of our clients, because we want to run native ads, video ads on Teads, for instance, right? So if our client doesn't have that advertorial, then that's an audit of, okay, if I want to
The asset.
try this traffic source, then I need this creative or these pages or whatever. So that kind of side of things. And then again, like I said, the actual economics of it is, a lot of brands, I think, and they want to come into the affiliate channel and they want to grow like crazy, but then they also don't want to incentivize their partners properly. So they expect a lot from a little. And so basically the question I have is how can you expect to grow so much if you can't even afford that media internally, or you can't hit your acquisition targets internally, and then expect someone else to do that for you and then sell it back
Also
to you?
drive the traffic.
Yeah, and sell it back to you for cheaper than you can do it internally. So I would say that those are the kinds of things. And then the last thing is, again, on the economics thing, is just really understanding your LTV, even if that comes down to the per product thing. So it really, again, it gets a little more complex on that side, but really what you're doing is you're testing new traffic sources, you're engaging media buyers, and then you're figuring out whether it's the funnels, landing pages, creative assets, whatever, what you need in order to be prepped so you can actually scale on that side.
And where do you think the intersection of affiliate marketing and programmatic meet? So is this something where the affiliate partner, the marketer, would typically be running some form of programmatic advertising on their own website, and that would be one of the sources of their own traffic, getting traffic to their own media? Then they can send that traffic back out again to their affiliate partners. What relationship typically does affiliate marketing have with programmatic?
Yeah, so there's a lot. So there's a lot of programmatic media buyers in affiliate marketing. So we will work with programmatic media buyers to varying degrees. I think that, if you're going to call native programmatic, if it's in that same space, our preference would be able to see where the inventory is actually bought from, a little bit
Right.
contextual. So there's specific programmatic media buyers we've engaged with in the last 3 to 6 months, where they're driving traffic, they're driving sales, and they'll even take our own creative, but then we're having a really hard time seeing where what publishers this ad is on, or like where this is actually. So like for us, like the programmatic side, if it's not super transparent about the display of that creative and like what kind of settings, is like, is this a retargeting thing, is this like a prospecting thing, like all that kind of stuff, like it's a little bit more gray area for us on the programmatic side. So basically anytime we're going to, whether that's run on the brand side, a lot of our brands don't really run programmatic. Like I said, affiliates can plug that gap for you if you want them to. For us, again, we try to navigate that cautiously because of the little bit of the lack of transparency. But then like I said, native, it seems like that our partners have a little bit greater access into the actual, like I said, the distribution of the creative and where this is going to show up, what publishers, contextually, all that kind of stuff. So that would be our preference on that side. But absolutely, you can find media buyers. I can even drop, I think they're called Dewey ads, like DOOEAA. They're like a European company that does a lot of programmatic. So if you're interested in programmatic, there's definitely those solutions in the industry.
And how do most of your clients, the brand clients that you work with, or the services clients, or whatever it might be, because I realize you don't just work with e-com clients, they're across a range of industries, SaaS, services providers, et cetera, might even be dentists, for example. How do so do you actually create manually the relationships between those brands and the publishers or the affiliates, or are you using some sort of a middleware platform to identify the affiliates and create the relationship and create the briefs? Like, where do kind of your services for the brands that you work with begin and end? Or is it really you're just giving them the strategy and then they're managing it in-house from there?
Yeah, I would say it's probably more of a full end-to-end management service. So basically, we're doing all the market research. So we'll come into brands or we'll work with brands that have no idea that they have no visibility for end market kind of consumers, right? Like that they're like, oh, I didn't know that these Reddit forums and these publishers and these reviews and all that kind of stuff was out there where my competitors are mentioned and I'm not mentioned. That upfront research is where we start, right? Because that just gives a little bit of the lay of the land of what's going on and the space in their particular industry. So that's first. So there's definitely the research element. There's again the auditing element that's of the program and kind of launching. And then there's the growth element, which is the manual recruitment. And what I would say is it can be, there's all kinds of AI stuff, recruiting tools and just different software out there to help you recruiting. But at the end of the day, it's like really a traffic game. So if they're not getting, and that's one of the bigger things, like one of my bigger, I don't know, complaints, I guess, about the original kind of form of affiliate marketing, or what I perceived that to be, was it was a very vanity. It was kind of like a vanity industry, like a vanity service where it's like, hey, I can get you in Forbes and People and all this kind of stuff, and I'm going to charge you. So it's like that PR thing, which PR ultimately is a vanity service where this isn't resulting in sales for me. Like, I don't really care how big the name of the brand is, the publisher. So what we try to do is we really try to map out where all that search traffic is. And if it's a mom and pop blog, but if they get 10,000 visits a month of relevant search traffic, that's going to be a great affiliate partner for you. Even if it's People or whatever the thing is, Sports Illustrated, that might have much less. And that's on that side, we do that. But then also, like I said, all of that other intensive, like relationship building, preparation of assets, monitoring the campaigns, negotiating the rates, like all of that kind of stuff. And even the data analysis on top of that's where that end-to-end part of it comes in, where it's like we're also carrying you. And then again, moving forward too is, okay, now we've got these campaigns going. What's the next step? Is it we've got whitelisting going, we got Meta going, we got TikTok. All right, where do we double down? Where do we focus? Do we do another whitelisting campaign? Do we try a different influencer? So all those kinds of questions, like that's where like we come in.
I love it. I love it. Absolutely amazing. Now, what is next for you guys as an agency partner, as a consulting partner? What do you think? Is there anything on your radar apart from this sort of affiliate 2.0, which to me feels like they become much more of a brand partner than just a one and done campaign type of a model? What do you see as that next suite or the next evolution that you're going, okay, maybe we don't offer this service today, but 6, 12, 18 months we will? Or do you feel like this kind of model that everybody's landed on now, do you think that this is the model that has the most legs for the future?
Not exactly. Like I would say that we're like, if I would say that we're definitely in the top few percentage points, like in our industry, of like growth operators. So like the things that I'm talking about, like most of the agencies and consultants that you're going to be talking with are not going to be leveraging these same tactics. They're probably going to be still operating out of the playbook of, we'll get you loyalty partners, we'll get you a few influencers here and there, we'll get you like all that kind of stuff. They're not going to talk about building like evergreen funnels for your brand. I would say that if you're tuning into this, like those are pretty fairly cutting edge for the industry. But as far as evolving even further, so one thing I saw the other day was trying to assign an attribution to AI citations. So Partnerize just came out with this specific tool. I haven't really looked into it. I just heard about it and saw a notification about it. But basically, if these publishers are now going to be in these citations and influencing sales, but then they're not going to necessarily be clicked on in like the affiliate links. So then, and let's say, so yeah, again, something pop, you type in what is the best probiotic, and then 5 different probiotics brands come in there, but the citations were from 5 different articles. Now you're just going to correct directly into that particular product, right? You're going to go to that page and then make a purchase from there and that little AI summary. But again, that kind of cuts that middleman out. So I think trying to find some way to assign some value to the publishers as a part of the citations and attribute that is going to be one of the next things on the attribution side. And as far as from a growth perspective, I really think obviously any new forms of media that come out. So some of the recent ones were AppLovin, and AppLovin was one, Newsbreak was one that are big on the affiliate. So anything like that that's a media source, that will become eventually something that affiliate marketing does. And then the last thing would be combining first party. So being able to do it from a first party perspective too. So if I was able to have review sites and these different things that I was able to build, like these evergreen funnels for brands, I would say that's the next step too, because then we can both do it. We can do it on the first party side and then we can do it on the third party side, right? The third parties already have the model down. They've got a set number of pages that are already, and they're running these campaigns and driving this traffic. But then there's going to be gaps that they don't cover, right? And so how could we, from a first party perspective, help enable brands too? So I think that there's some room there. So I think the global or the bigger picture of it is like, how do we basically like you leverage first parties and third parties to create these efficient growth systems for your brand? That's really like the question. And so I think the people who are able to do that the most effectively are going to unlock the next wave or the next phase of what affiliate marketing is.
And I think what it sounds like is the concept of influenced purchasing. It ain't going away anytime soon. If
Right.
anything, it's going to grow. And certainly, if anything, it feels even if the traffic doesn't go, for example, let's say I'm an affiliate marketer or I'm a publisher. So let's say I've got content. I'm real good at the ARB of
Mhm.
paid and performance. I'm real good at creative. I'm real good at media buying at scale. I've nailed that and I've drilled that down. But that in that world, it still feels like they are relying on traffic specifically to their media. Now, in the future, as you said, that media may influence what something like ChatGPT recommends for a specific query, but that doesn't mean that traffic's going to go to that affiliate website. It means that purchase may happen literally inside ChatGPT without them even going to the seller's website,
Correct.
especially with the new agentic buyer protocol, agentic ACP. I forget what it's called. But anyways, it's the tie-up between OpenAI and Stripe and Shopify, for example, and a few others that have joined the fray now. Agentic Commerce Protocol, so ACP is what I think they call it. There's going to come a time where these answer engines are where the transaction actually occurs. But if the reason that transaction occurs in the answer engine is because an affiliate partner gave validity and weight to that merchant, because of the content that was out there referring to that merchant at scale, because the merchant themselves couldn't create enough content out there to become well known enough in the space to become the go-to supplier of that product. I think what you're saying is being able to identify where and how that happens so that the affiliate still gets credit or at least partial credit for that sale because
Correct.
they gave credibility to that seller feels to me like a really important piece of the puzzle for the industry to solve.
Absolutely. And like I said, I think PartnerEye specifically, who is a platform and network, they're already working on that. And I'm sure some of the other ones are. So like an idea would be, right, is if they're able to integrate with any of those answer engines, right, at all, and then be able to see where those queries are happening and be able to see how many times or if a particular citation was featured in a specific query. And then let's say that then that assigns a payment, right, in that moment where it's like, it may not be the full thing. It may not be a 25% or whatever, like a full click, but it might be a
Might be a
5%.
5%.
A 5% or whatever. And so you can get to see that touch point as well. I think that's not really my focus. I definitely know that there are developments on that side and it just makes sense, right? Is like that they are pulling citations still from search engines, right? So they are using that content. So the people who created that content should probably be weighed in a little bit, and we should figure out how to basically compensate or incentivize them.
Wow, couldn't agree more. Listen, what a fascinating conversation. It's a burgeoning industry. And like I said right up front, I am not the affiliate marketing expert. I don't live in this world every single day. How much of your work is for retail? I think you said it's almost all retail focused products and services. But do you see a world where B2Bs, meaning manufacturers and distributors who are increasingly getting into e-commerce now, increasingly opening up their websites, whereas they used to be almost all gated, closed websites? You couldn't even see pricing or products unless you authenticated, unless you were an authorized dealer or distributor of a manufacturer, for example. It feels B2B still is probably 5 to 10 years behind their retail counterparts when it comes to all forms of digital marketing, whether it's email marketing, acquisition, retention, remarketing, doesn't really matter. They're just universally across the board. They don't oftentimes do paid performance. They
Mm.
oftentimes don't do affiliate marketing. They oftentimes don't do email marketing, or it's a single email blast every 6 months or something like that. And so they oftentimes don't do CRO on their website. They rely on the stickiness of B2B buyer seller relationships as the form of loyalty in that industry. And I know because I work with these guys every
Yeah.
single day.
Yeah.
But it feels like there is still, because B2B buyers today, 71%, according to Forrester now, 71% of B2B buyers are millennials or Gen Z. So the reality is they are starting their supplier search. They're not necessarily starting their product search, but they're certainly starting their supplier search online. They're not waiting for a trade show. They're not waiting for an account manager to knock on their door or to take them to a ball game. That's not the way it works largely anymore. It's they're searching online for a supplier of XYZ widget. Once they shortlist their list of suppliers, they will reach out to those suppliers when they're good and ready to inquire about becoming a buyer through that supplier. What does it require? What does the onboarding look like? Are you going to do a credit check, et cetera, et cetera? And I just feel like there's such an amazing opportunity to become a supplier of choice because you're digitally visible everywhere all the time,
Mhm.
right? Where your competitors are not. It feels like that is a massive growth opportunity, but I'd love your thoughts.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like I said, I am really retail D2C focused from just an affiliate perspective, right? So I'm not the spokesperson on this, but I can tell you that there definitely agencies, companies, consultants in my industry that focus solely on B2B affiliate marketing. And they talk about B2B affiliate marketing as one of the biggest growth segments, right, of the affiliate marketing industry over the last probably 3 years or so. So if I could maybe I'll name drop some people here because I think someone who you interviewed on the show, Justin Howes, I think he does some work in the B2B space and is very well connected. So if anyone wants to reach out to them on guidance and for their B2B efforts, for sure. But like I said, I don't think they're the only ones. Absolutely. Anytime, in general, anytime there is a form of content being consumed, there's any type of research being done, or you would just like any action being done on performance, lead gen, for instance, would be an example of lead gen is huge for like insurance and mortgages and all these different affiliate marketing and even pay per call. So depending on the outcome that these B2B companies are looking for, if it's someone submitting a form, if it's someone actually dialing a call, like there's affiliates out there that can help drive these outcomes for you and then take their compensation once that action is completed. So I would say that yeah, it's basically can apply to any industry and for sure in the B2B space.
I love it. I've been starting to ask this question at the near the end of every single podcast I do for the last month or so. If you could change one thing at the snap of your fingers about the affiliate market industry, what would it be?
Yeah. So again, I think it goes back to the vanity thing. The two biggest things, and I'm sorry you said one, but the two biggest things that I am trying to that I wrestle with, I guess, one is the vanity. So like historically, people thinking that getting in these specific publications was like the creme de la creme was the best that you could do, the best kind of deliverable that you could have in affiliate marketing. And for me, it's much more about performance. And like I said, building these performance long-standing relationships. So again, can I build a long-term acquisition funnel for your business versus can I get you in a pretty magazine, right? That's a much different mindset. So I would kind of shift the mindset more toward that. But then two, I would just say the overall transparency from and clarity when it comes to performance. So what I mean by that is like we've started publishing our case studies, like where brands can see, anyone who visits our website can see what we see on the back end. So there's nothing hidden, from our partnerships to our traffic sources to like the payouts and all that kind of stuff. So I'd say creating a standard of transparency for the industry, and then I would say on top of that is like having independent third parties come in and actually regulate partnerships. So like regulate things. So like it was the Wild West and somewhat still is, but a lot of times when you look at like case studies in our industry and incrementality tests, like and all this kind of stuff, it's not independent regulation. It's actually just like the actual members, right, of, or like a loyalty partner or a loyalty affiliate that's sponsoring an incrementality study about their own campaigns, right? So it's one of those things. So if we could have independent parties that were actually regulating to create, basically, like my goal would be like, maybe I'm not the best or we're not the best agency for you, but like how can a brand really come into the industry and make the best selection for them that they know that they're going to feel in safe hands to working with this people? Because right now it's a bunch of vanity and it's a bunch of hidden data and it's a bunch of going off case studies that may or may not be relevant to you. So trying to clear that process up and then really create, like I said, just an industry where like you can, I don't know, where the performance outcomes or the clarity over the actual performance and what's going on is like really apparent and just like super visible to everyone.
The
Those are my
G2
goals.
or the IDC of affiliate marketing, maybe.
Yeah, yes, something like that. But again, like an independent committee, it's not me, right? But we're trying to
Yeah.
start that process, get the ball rolling of, hey, this is actually our affiliate program back end. Take a look
Yes.
at it, see what we do.
Here's our
What do we do?
performance, our average performance.
Yeah, here's our performance. It's we're trying to move the ball in that direction, but then how can we have independent, like I said, independent regulations or committees that are actually evaluating the incrementality of affiliate programs, the incrementality of agencies, the incrementality of deliverables, where none of that exists right now. So I know it's probably longer than more than you requested, but those are like
No,
the
I
big.
love that. I couldn't agree more. I think having, and it's true of almost all forms of digital marketing, there's a whole lot of people creating white papers and case studies and all that sort of stuff around their own agency and trying to, but there's no standardized format, there's no standardized methodology, there's no standardized metrics, none of it standardized. And so obviously you're going to paint your agency in the best light possible, which makes sense, but it makes it hard. It's when a buyer is out there in the market trying to work with an agency, it's very difficult to do an apples to apples comparison between agencies. Very difficult. And oftentimes it comes down to the personality of the principal. That's usually the one doing the selling is the principal, right?
Yeah,
But it doesn't mean they're going to be working with the principal and they're going to be assigned to a team internally to do the delivery on a day-to-day basis. And they're going to probably be assigned an account manager and all that sort of stuff. So oftentimes it comes down to which team internally is going to be assigned to me within your organization, because the agency principal ain't going to be working on my account day to day. We all know that. It sometimes agencies are a cult of personality. That's the reality. And that makes it difficult for buyers to buy in that environment when some agency principals are more charismatic and more believable
for
than
sure.
others. And that's really what you're referring to, right?
Absolutely. And I think the biggest thing is like I'm okay with, if I'm not the best, if like I said, like B2B would be an example. Like I'll pass a B2B or a SaaS on like that I don't
Yes.
feel like is in our wheelhouse. I'll pass it on to
Yes.
someone else. But so or if even if it's something in our wheelhouse that someone else is going to do a better job on, like I'm okay with losing that business. But the thing I'm not really cool with is, and I'll give you like a 10-second just like anecdote about it. So I worked for a company about 3 or 4 years ago, was an affiliate agency that got acquired by one of the bigger portfolio companies, agencies, and they were known as like this PR affiliate firm where it's like they got you all these like tier one media and like whatever. But I actually looked, like when you looked at all the performance data from like all of the publishers, all the affiliates, whatever, like 80 to 90, if you pulled the top 10 affiliates of the entire organization, 9 of the top 10 are still going to be these lower funnel, basically are like profit suckers, cannibalizers, like that kind of stuff. So like I was like from the outside looking in, I was like, oh, it sounds great, it looks great, whatever. So again, my thing is like, how do we get rid of those instances where it's somehow this somehow this cannibalization is still slipping through the cracks, and there's not really, like you said, there's not a standardized way of evaluating agencies or being able to, find the right fit. So I don't think it's just about me winning business. I think it's really, like I said, about, like you said, creating that standard for the industry where it becomes who can find the best fit, and then how can we as an industry level up overall. If someone is doing a service or executing a service much better than everyone else, then how do we more align toward that service versus how do we skew or whatever, paint our own data, like you said, to make it look super appealing to whoever's on the buyer on the call. So yeah, I guess that's my little diatribe or my soapbox moments.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I couldn't agree more. And I think
Yeah.
most industries need some sort of independent group. I think, for example, in the B2B world, the B2B e-commerce world specifically, the B2B e-commerce association
Yeah.
is trying to bring a certain level of training and certification to where everybody who's a member and who's certified through their training programs, any buyer who would choose to work with a vendor or work with a consultant or a coach or an SI working in that space, then at least if they know that team or those people or that principal has gone through that training, then they know that there's a minimum standard of knowledge. There's at least a bare minimum standard of capability that person is going to bring or that platform is going to bring to the table, that then they're comparing maybe not 100% on an apples to apples basis, but much more of an apples to apples basis than just it being a complete free for all out in the market. So
Yeah,
I
for sure.
definitely see industry bodies that are the nexus for where industries can come together and prove their value and prove their level of knowledge and certification and understanding. I think that's a really important thing, and I'm glad you pointed that out. Now, as we do come down to the end of our time together, I will drop a link to your LinkedIn profile in the show notes as
Mhm.
well as to your website in the show notes. But other than that, how do you like people to get a hold of you and talk all things affiliate marketing 2.0?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. That was a good conversation, and I felt like I got most of what I wanted to say out today. Yeah, no, I think you can fill out the form on our website if you're interested in working together or just even picking my brain. I also host a podcast too. I'm not as quite as frequent as you with it, but I do talk to some interesting folks on there called the Affiliate Marketing 2.0 podcast. And if you want to guest speak on that and just hash out affiliate, we can always do that. Talk shop. And then, yeah, if you want to reach me personally, it's Josh at Imagine-Affiliate is my personal email, imagine-affiliate.com, and I can be reached there. And again, if you want an audit of your current thing or a question about is affiliate marketing for you and all those kinds of questions, we can help address those up front, or like I said, just talk shop on some other format.
I love it. I love it. Now, as we do come down to the end of our time together, this is where I get to flip the script. I get to turn the microphone over to you. I get to let you ask me one question, any question you like. It could be personal or professional. So, Mr. Josh Kennedy from Imagine Marketing, what is your question for me today?
Yeah, I guess because you speak to a lot of different people from a lot of different industries, right? So, like, where do you think is the most exciting place to be right now in, let's say, digital marketing?
I'll say it again, and it's maybe pushing my own barrow a little bit, but the reason why I doubled and tripled and quadrupled down on B2B e-commerce when I started my consultancy 5 years ago after 20 plus years in the industry was because I saw the growth opportunity in B2B. And so I think that for digital marketers, I think for consultants, I think for agencies, whether it be dev agencies, analytics agencies, creative agencies, doesn't really matter. Forecast growth for e-commerce in B2B is something like 8 to 10x retail e-commerce growth for the next at least until 2030. And from my perspective, it just really comes down to the relative nascency, the relative immaturity of B2B when it comes to all things digital, right? And the fact that they still are stuck in this world of sales reps and ERPs and CRMs and traditional marketing tactics and belly to belly selling, that still dominates in the B2B world, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. Relationship building is always going to be important, especially in the B2B world where relationships last measured in years, not months or purchases, right? Those relationships are measured over the very, very long term. And oftentimes B2B relationships will last a decade or longer. And that's always going to be important, but certainly digital acquisition, digital retention, digital selling, digital capabilities, digital enablement, all that stuff is relatively new outside of the world of straight EDI and punch out selling. That's been the historical way that B2Bs do digital, but self-service e-commerce and understanding digital marketing across all those different channels is still a pretty new thing. And depending on the market vertical and category that a B2B seller, whether it be a manufacturer or distributor, operates in, 40 to 60% of those players in that category will not be doing e-commerce today at all.
Wow.
And so that's still a massive opportunity. And of the ones that do self-service e-commerce, the vast majority of those will have a gated experience. And so Google can't see them, ChatGPT can't see them. Nobody even knows they exist unless you already work in the industry and unless you already have an account with them and you can authenticate and see their catalog. So there is still so much education to be done. There is still so much upskilling and bringing cross-pollination of ideas from retail e-com into the B2B space. It's such a dynamic and exciting space. B2B for me is where it is.
Oh, great answer.
I love it. I love
Love
it. Thank you so much for your time. It was a
Yeah.
fascinating conversation. Really appreciate it. And I can't wait to speak to you again soon. Thank you again.
Yeah. You're welcome. And yeah, pleasure's all mine.
If you'd like to get mentored by Jason for free, head over to greenwoodconsulting.net, scroll to the bottom of the page, and click Get Mentored by Jason.